Oxfam did a survey on loneliness in people between the ages of 16 and 28, and they found that 49% of people in that age group feel lonely, and a further 28% of people feel like they don't have the social opportunities to even form communities and feel connected. That is a problem. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I want to start by saying thank you so much to everyone who was supporting me for my last video, the likes, the shares, the subscribing, and obviously the positive feedback I received from the people in my life. I really appreciate you guys. And I am back with another topic. Today's focus will be how the economy is ruining our social lives. Now, just to give a little warning, not every single reason in the video will be economic, but that will be the main focus. And I'll be talking about things such as club culture. I will be focusing on cost of living crisis, the housing crisis, etc. etc. What inspired this video in the first place is because I moved in with my best friend. We moved to London last year, and honestly, contrary to popular wisdom, it's been one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I have found such an increase in my mental health. Sometimes you have a shitty day at work and you come back. I'll be just in with my bestie till the evening time. And honestly, it's just been fantastic as well. My boyfriend lives near. It's been a really rejuvenating time is the best way I can describe it. It made me think having your community nearby is a key. Having your community nearby is the key. And it really dawned on me that maybe this loneliness epidemic that we're experiencing for a lot of young people may be to do with the lack of strong community near them. And I want to look into the economic reasons why that may be. Unless you are part of the 1% elite, you will have to work for money. And what does money do? It provides the ability to get the clothes that we need, to put a roof over our head, to get food. A big part of social living is being able to go out, to do things, to eat, to enjoy, to party. You need money for all of these things. And that means a lot of people, your job, your career is going to be a big focus in your quality of life. I will be reading some stats because I'm not a robot. I'm not going to remember them. I'm going to be so for real. I will start by talking about the average UK salary. The average UK salary in 2023 was £34,963,000. The average London salary, according to the Office for National Statistics, which is where I got the other statistic from, in 2023 was £44,370,000. So almost 10,000 grand more than the UK national average. I forgot to add a disclaimer that I will be focusing on London in this video, mainly because that's where I live right now and it is the capital of the UK. Simple. Finder published the top 5 cities who had the least and the most disposable income. And this was a stat for 2025. So they found the city with the least disposable income per month was Brighton at £327, followed by London, of course, at £381. And city with the most disposable income per month was Aberdeen, 1,240. So anyone who's living in Aberdeen, if you have less disposable income, then you are not able to do many things. You're not able to go out. You're not able to go for the birthday parties. You may not be able to even afford the travel for the group holiday. You may not afford going out to eat, especially because nowadays going out to eat can set you back like a bill. And you're just like, I swear I only had like 3 tequila shots and like, I don't know, some tacos. And by the way, that is based on a real story. London is one of the world's biggest financial hub. This is why obviously you see the average salary in London is higher than the UK national average. The salaries are higher to reflect the higher cost of living. This is the place where people from all sorts of sectors are coming to advance their career. It is the hub for people to connect, especially in creative industries, the financial sector. It's where you want to go, where you really want to increase your income and build the connections necessary to get more money, essentially. Therefore, this city attracts a lot of skilled workers. which is good for business. I can back that up with the ONS statistics from the 2021 census that showed that the largest age demographic in London was 25 to 34, which accounted for 25.8% of the population. That's basically 1 in 4 people in London are between the age of 24 and 34. Those are very common ages for people to now start climbing the career ladder. People may not stay when they get older, but they come here to kind of get themselves developed, established in their careers. But what this means is people are leaving behind their communities. That could be your family, friends from back home, moving to somewhere like London, a big city, and it can leave people feeling a bit displaced and lonely because you have to make new friends somehow. When people are running to the same place and people are looking for opportunities, what this means is they need somewhere to live. And if there isn't enough houses being made and demand is higher than the supply, we have an issue on our hands. And that will be my next topic: housing. Owning your own property in the UK is the goal for most people. You don't have the fear of being kicked out, you can paint your walls however you want, and obviously you can develop equity on your property. So for most people, it's what they're saving for before the ages of 35. The big issue here is the average house price currently is times 10 of the average salary, compared to the 90s where the average house price was times 4 of the average salary. So my generation, I'm 25 for context, so I'm the older Gen Z lot, we're getting shagged. We're getting shagged. It's becoming harder for us to get on the property ladder. So what this means is a lot of us are left with 2 options. It's either you stay at home with your parents, you save a nice sizable deposit, or you have to move out, whether for career opportunities, just because you want to, family problems, blah blah blah, and you just have to save and rent at the same time. It's reported the figure for 25 to 29-year-olds living with parents has gone from 20% in 2006-2007 to 28% in 2023/2024. I just want to make a little disclaimer here again. I do want you to understand, though, there is a little intersection where certain people from certain cultures, such as South Asian cultures, such as Indian, Bangladeshis, there is more of an emphasis on multi-generational living. So the stats do show that people from these backgrounds tend to stay at home later, and it also shows that it's mainly men who tend to stay longer as well in their parental households than women. That's a pretty interesting stat, which I'll kind of separately want to look at privately, but I just want to put that out there as well. Different cultures will have different ideas on staying at home, and certain cultures are very much like, you're 18, you're out here, love. Some people are like, you can stay here as long as you save and you're able to get the amount you need for a house yourself, and they do it that way. So there is cultural aspects to the differences in why people stay at home with their parents longer than others. But generally speaking, the stats overall say we are staying at home longer, and I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that a lot of us can't afford to buy our own houses, and a lot of us also can't afford to rent because the average salary is a bit, depending on the kind of parents God has blessed you or cursed you with, living at home may be a big hindrance on your social life. For some people, it's an issue because you have a sense of capped independence. You may not be able to have the parties you want to have. You may not be able to host dinners the way you want to. You can't just invite friends over because you're sharing a space with your family. And sometimes your parents just treat you like a kid, and you are like, this dynamic is not conducive for my independence and sense of wanting to go out, explore. And obviously, for those who are trying to get into a relationship, that might also be another aspect where you may not have the privacy to do so. Wink wink. Honestly, there's loads of factors that may just put people in a position where this living my parents' situation is not working out, and my social life is affected. So for a lot of people, it leaves them in a position where they have to get out of here. Obviously, if your parents are chill, you've got a cool mom like in Mean Girls, then you're good. I know, obviously, especially as a Nigerian, a lot of us do not have that privilege. So I will also be talking about what happens and the impacts of renting on people's social lives as well. If you decide to move out, you have to deal with the monster that we call rent. The majority of us are renting from private landlords, so it's a bit. And I want to pull out some stats again. The average rent in London is currently 2k versus 1k for the rest of the UK. And as you can imagine, with the average salaries, a lot of people cannot afford to do that. So you have the next option. So house share. I don't think I even need to go into the cons of house sharing. The fact that you can end up with randos who are disrespectful, loud, have strange preferences, have partners who love to stay over for months at a time, and having to deal with that whole malarkey is a big major turnoff for a lot of people. Obviously, I'm sure there's a lucky lot who found, housemates who end up being their best friends for life. Good for you, but I think for a lot of people it's not a desirable situation just because of the potential cons involved. There are apps like Spare Room that try to iron out people's preferences so you can get matched with people who have similar vibes to you, but at the end of the day, you can't, it's not a guarantee in my opinion. And I feel like once again this affects your social life, because if you're not able to have people over because your flatmate has, I don't know, a phobia of loud noise, or you're not able to do pre-drinks, have dinners, host as you want to, have friends just come over because of your interested house share situation, then that can be a hindrance. So then that leaves you in a position where now you have to go out, do a bottomless brunch. Mind you, I love a bottomless brunch. Yeah, I love a BB, so I'll never hate on a bottomless brunch. It's not me, but I'm just saying sometimes you don't always want to spend 50 to 150 pounds on a BB just because, like, you want to sometimes just chill in the house. And sometimes you can't do that when you have housemates, because some people might have different preferences. Obviously, most people are chill, but the point is, people may feel a bit caged and like, this place is not my own because I share it with strangers. And I think once again, it affects our ability to go out, make social connections, and continue them and develop them. I forgot to mention here that some places, especially in London, don't even have a living room. So you don't want to bring people around to chill in your bedroom. I feel like I should tell a little story. When me and my friend, we wanted to come down to London, at one point we were like, listen, let's try and get some other people involved in the equation. So we're looking for an extra flatmate. We came across some sort of Facebook group, and they were doing questionnaires for people to fill out, like, how often do you clean? How do you have any allergies? Literally, we opened it, we closed that. We just said, listen, the people are not okay. Listen, the people are not okay. Let's just move on. I want to just do a little side discussion regarding the career and housing thing, especially as a Black woman. I will be talking mainly as my experience as a Black woman, but I do think it also applies to other ethnic minorities. Majority of us live in big cities. I think the majority of Black people in the UK live in London. And as much people say, oh, why not go somewhere cheaper? People underestimate, even for our social lives, how important it is to be in places where we see other people that look like us. We have events that are catered to us. We have so many opportunities that are focused in places for us, essentially. And even with the height of gentrification, people are like, oh, just go somewhere that's cheaper. People deserve to live where they were brought up. And if you were brought up in a diverse community, I don't think you should be forced to go to some random place in middle England, like Lincolnshire or something, just because, oh, well, it was too expensive. You have to also remember that as a Black woman as well, where we live is a big, big, big aspect of our mental health, especially because a lot of us are not treated very well in the mental health facility aspect of things, and that's another conversation for another day. I feel like we also have to pay some sort of tax, essentially, for wanting to live in big cities like London, to kind of feel closer and have a social life that makes sense for us. And it feels like you're being penalized in a way, but these are the big cities, these are where the communities are at, so a lot of us will prioritize that. But unfortunately, that hits our pockets hard with the housing situation. And career wise, unless you are aiming to get into a field that you can develop quickly and scale up, which there's many opportunities in big cities, but not everybody can be, I don't know, like a lawyer, like, I don't know, big time lawyers. Some people are gonna have to be a nurse, and Nurses can make a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but if your starting salary start, even a junior doctor, you might struggle. And like I said, you're back to two options: you live at home or you rent. Not everyone has families that they can stay with, so therefore you may have to rent and you may have to struggle, once again impacting your social life because you're not able to go out, not able to be in the place that you need to be to feel connected. And on the flip side, because those are the places that may have the communities that you want, especially if you're seeking Black entertainment in all its beauty and forms. I don't want to speak on any other ethnic minority background, but I assume it's very similar for others as well. Let's move on to our next topic, the nightlife crisis, and how the cost of enjoyment is at an all-time high right now. Guys, it's literally 30 degrees in London right now, and Jesus Christ. Whew. Jesus Christ. Wow. After working Monday to Friday, a 40-hour week for a lot of people, I know not everyone works those schedules. Hospitality, retail, healthcare, I'm with you. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just talking about the typical average Monday to Friday 40-hour week. You want to unwind, you want to, connect with people, connect with your friends, connect with new people. And this is why we have nightclubs, we have parties, we have raves, blah blah blah, pubs as well. These things exist for people to unwind and be able to make new social connections, recover from the boring work that you may do. So it is a very important aspect of a lot of people's lives, especially when you're younger. We've got more time, we ain't got no kids, so why not go out and have fun? We are also social creatures, so we do crave a sense of community, belonging as well. And I am going to talk about how clubs are dying. And I will read a stat from the Last Night Out campaign founded by the Nighttime Industries Association. They found 37% of clubs have closed since March 2020. And we know what happened in March 2020, COVID. It really affected a lot of things, and the club scene was not exempt. They claim UK nightclubs will be gone by 2029 if the rate of closures continue. So yeah, it's not very good. Understandably, clubs are facing crazy costs like the increase of energy prices, rents, the licenses, the taxes. There's all sorts going on, which mean clubs are not able to stay open like they will want to. But I also want to look at what other factors are involved in this whole crisis of the nightlife. I also want to explore the change in habits in my generation of how we go out and do other things. And I do definitely want to focus on how this is going to affect us all in the future socially. This is not anything statistical, this is just my opinion. But I feel like a lot of my generation now, we can't be asked to spend so much on drinks, entry fees, Uber, there and back. We haven't got it like that. And also the issue is it's not a guaranteed good time out. So a lot of my generation, I believe, don't want to risk spending all that money just for a very midnight. And I think we are saving our coins for bigger events that are more guaranteed to be a lit time. So like, for example, Drum Sheds, which is a warehouse sort of venue. They have loads of parties, raves, different events there. People will wait for things like that. We have also like Recess, DLT, Soul Jams with A. Obviously these are my people because they're Black Brit, I have to represent. But the point I'm trying to make is people are being very choosy about which events they're going to go to, and they will pick the ones that have good reputations and hopefully a guaranteed night out. So I think this is also contributing to why people are just not interested in certain clubs anymore. And I also think we love our festivals and our concerts. I think also we'd rather stay for our favorite artists and go and see them. And I feel like that's also, once again, because concert prices are through the roof. So festival tickets are almost seen as good value for money in the grand scheme of things. You see loads of artists for less. I even found a stat that even backed the fact that concert ticket prices are going. Polestar Live industry trade publication, and they showed that globally ticket prices on average have rose by 23.3% in 2023. I saw Beyonce last Monday, and I want to say it was Chef Kiss, I will always go to Beyonce concert. She's fantastic. But that she pulled with the dynamic pricing with Ticketmaster gave me the ick. I was just like, girl, like who's paying £500 for a ticket? Like we are in a cost of living crisis, honey bun. No, no. Let me just go back to the clubs. I hate to call out two of the big hot spots that a lot of Black Londoners are loving off right now. I have been to Eden Lounge. I have been to 27. Eden Lounge was better. Better music. Obviously, you have the saxophone guy. It's always a good time. Problem I had with both clubs is it was very clear the social aspect of clubbing was not a priority at all. The space to dance, even 27, the table service places are like, you know, over here. We're down here in hell. They're all the way up in heaven. I'm like, damn. Why are you gonna do that? The space they left on both venues to dance is like, if you ain't got a table, get out. That's kind of what it's giving. And I feel like this table culture is really affecting how we can socialize. You know, sometimes you want to go, you want to eat with other people. How can I do that if the bottle girl is pushing me out the way because she's bringing out somebody's azul? How can I do that? How? And another issue is people are guarding their tables like watchdogs, and they're looking at you like, don't get too close to my table, instead of having fun, letting loose, enjoying, and not just sitting down and kind of screwing everybody. And I think this is another big problem I'm finding, where I'm like, where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in being squashed and cramped and you can't even get a table? One of them, the entry fees were crazy if you didn't book like way in advance. And I was just like, that wasn't worth it. If I'd paid the crazy amount, that was not worth it. And I think once again, there's a lack of priority placed in giving venues with decent price drinks. That's another thing, with open spaces where you can vibe, you can talk, you know, it's not a hassle. You don't feel like a peasant because you didn't pay for a table. And I just wanted to call them out. I'm sorry. I don't even consider myself a contrarian, but I'm like, you guys can hype things up so hard. And it's like, that wasn't worth it. Why did you hype it up like that? There was no need. And obviously not everyone likes the club, so we do also need other third spaces. And the third space culture in the UK is also going downhill. Let's get into it. If you don't want to spend crazy money to just hang out with your friends, a lot of us will resort to cafes or parks. But I found, unless the sun is shining, a lot of people are just not willing to come out just for that. They need it to be worth it if they're going to come out of the house and spend money on travel. And we need to look at what a third space actually means. According to Wiki, good old Wiki, a third place is a sociological term referring to social surroundings that are separate from the two usual social environments: home, which is classed as the first place, and the workplace, which is classed as the second place. Since the Tories came in power in 2010, 1,243 youth centres have been closed, 877 public libraries done, and the funding for councils to provide these local services has just been slashed completely. It's really affected how local communities can build third spaces, especially for the young people. And a lot of these youth centres is places where people can come to learn, you know, different sports, arts and crafts, get into all sorts of different things, and just meet other people, meet other kids. I'm sure lots of people have stories about meeting someone from their, you know, local youth centre or leisure centre, and we just are not seeing these things anymore because of public funding being slashed. And the Tories have really affected that social fabric in the community, in my opinion. I think for most of us, primary school, secondary school, university, college, blah blah blah, those are the last places for a lot of us where we got to see people our own age on a regular basis. And obviously it's compulsory, so there's not that kind of inherent sort of pressure to necessarily make friends, although it's expected. And I think that kind of environment has been perfect for people to be able to make lifelong friends. You're young, you're open-minded. Most importantly, you have time on your hands to make friends and to meet up with friends. And a lot of us, sometimes the motive was just to go to your local shopping center, just be walking around window shopping. No, you ain't got £10 in your pocket, you ain't got nada to your name, but you be window shopping. You're a window shopper. So the issue with this is when you move on from these institutions where you're able to see people your own age regularly, which I think is the key, regular contact, same way people date. You get to know them, you go out on dates, you see them very regular, you get to observe their behaviors and go forth. After we move on from these institutions, like I said, a lot of us can feel very lonely and can feel very what do we do now, especially if, like, for example, like me, uni, a lot of people that I was with, they live in different cities. So if you're in that position as well, it may be harder to keep connections. It will take effort for you to upkeep those friendships and relationships. Long distance, anything is not easy, so you will have to sometimes put effort into making new communities, especially people have found work. People start doing all sorts of different things. People get married, some people have kids, and sometimes you just don't relate anymore, so you need to find a new community of people who are more for you. But like I said, this is a problem when you're an adult. It gets a lot harder, in my opinion. That's why I think any sort of third space that focuses on your specific interest is a very good place to start. Hobbies is a very good place to start. If you're interested in running, go to a run club. Although I didn't know until the other day that you lot were paying for run clubs, and I saw a tweet and it killed me, because I've always thought that, wait, hold on, if you pay for run clubs, what happens if you just run behind them? What are they gonna do? As in, I'm paying to walk outside on the pavement. It took me out when I found out people were paying for run clubs. You don't like money. Back to the hobbies thing. A lot of people are paying a crazy amount for these hobbies. In London, a Pilates class can set you back £25 to £100 a class. Yeah. So if you're going like 4 times a week, you're back £100. A lot of people cannot afford that. A lot of people need to use that money to afford to eat. So once again, it becomes another privilege to be able to attend hobbies and certain places. There's even a very luxury, I think it's a gym club, or I don't know what they call it, like a health club. I think it's even called Third Space. Bear with me. It's called the Third Space. Ironically, it's like a luxury health club. And I can even see the Canary Wharf branch. The membership starts from £230 a month. I'm not going to be here debating whether that's worth it or not. It depends on your finances. But I think we can all agree a lot of people cannot afford to pay £230 a month on a health club. So if this is a place where people are making connections and meeting people, once again, there's a barrier to entry there. And what does this mean for people who can't afford it? And I have seen initiatives like the Noir Space, centered especially for Black women to meet up. They have like monthly events like pottery, painting, like sip and paint, XYZ. And I've been to one, I think it was like a dancing class, and I really liked it. My only criticism would be, I think the issue with that is you're not doing the same thing each time, so people are not going to be interested in each event. I do question how well it works for people making new friends. I don't know though. That's just me. Like, I could actually be fully wrong, and people actually have. I'm just kind of questioning it. I still think there needs to be more regularity, but that's just me nitpicking. I do appreciate that it exists though. It's a fantastic initiative. I still think outside of hobbies, we really need third space, generally speaking, where we can just chill. And I think a lot of other places in Europe, like Spain, have that down to a T, where they just have like cafes, people just open spaces where people can just chill, relax with their children, they can just vibe. Even ironically, I always see down the road there's like a Romanian cafe, and I see the same people all the time. They're always just chilling there, having a drink with themselves. And I'm like, you know what? A place like that would be fantastic. If we had more of that. I know we have pubs for a lot of people in England. It's a big staple of the culture. Once again, another little intersection. As a Black woman, I don't feel comfortable, for reasons that I am not going to get into this video, to be just going up into any pub. I don't feel like it's a safe space for me. But I can acknowledge it is a place for a lot of people to have that chill, cheap, relaxing environment. But even they're under threat, and a lot of pubs are actually closing as well. It's still not looking good, and we're not prioritizing these third places. I do need to mention though, the weather doesn't help. To be fair, Spain has good weather. I'd be outside too every day. So I do think that also it plays a big part into why people don't want to really just be out and about. You want to kind of be somewhere inside. This is another big factor. I think a lot of people are experiencing burnout. I do think it has got economic reasons. A lot of us are going through cost of living crisis, trying to afford our daily upkeep. It's taken a toll on our mental health. I will be discussing burnout and anxiety, mental health issues. We will dive into it again. So, a 3-year research program by the Resolution Foundation think tank, funded by the Health Foundation charity, showed 1 in 3 18 to 24-year-olds experience depression or an anxiety disorder. Without being Captain Obvious, you're probably not willing to go out if you have mental health issues. Yeah, if you're down, you're having a depressive episode, you're feeling anxious, you're probably not in the mood to be talking, laughing and joking with people, even people that you love, like your friends or your partner, whoever, family. You're not in the mood. Due to the nature of certain illnesses like depression, it makes you want to isolate yourself even further. I will also be linking resources for people who are struggling with their mental health in the description below. Things are changing. Our generation will take in mental health a lot more seriously. I do want to look at some of the stats on burnout. A study done by the Mental Health UK showed 91% of adults experience high or extreme stress in the workplace in the past year, leading to 1 in 5 workers looking for time off due to poor mental health caused by stress or pressure. 18 to 24-year-olds were most likely to take time off at 35% of the stats, compared to 10% of 55-year-olds plus. A lot of us are working to the bone to get our money. If we're burnt out, we don't really have time or energy to want to talk to people after work, speak to people after work. And obviously at the moment, because of the awareness, mental health services are a little bit harder for people to access, and people might have to go to private routes to do so because the waiting list on the NHS can be a bit crazy. And I feel like a lot of this is contributing to people not being able to form the social bonds, which ironically I think are very, very key in keeping us healthy mentally. Lack of sleep, exercise, relationship issues can be all big stress factors into why people are getting burnt out and they're just kind of over it. As I said just 2 seconds ago, ironically, I do think social bonds are key to our mental health. And there's like a popular meme that's going around where it's like, when you hang out with your friends and then you realize life is worth living again. And it really, really is like that. But if you're in a loop, it can be a problem. You can't get out. You don't make those bonds. You don't get the dopamine hit. It's a vicious cycle. I think if a lot of young people were in a position where they felt more settled, if they had access to services that would improve their mental health, we have better third spaces, these things would improve our general mental health, keep us healthier. I watched a documentary about, I think, people in the blue zones, or people who basically live really, really long in this particular area. They found that a big key part of that is regular communication with others in their community. Burnout is a very big factor in why a lot of people just can't be asked to go out. Even me, there's times where after work I've just wanted to come lie on my bed and just do nothing. But sometimes you go, wow, I'm really glad I went out. I'm really glad I picked up that phone call. And you realize the benefits immediately like that. I think my generation, like older Gen Z, is probably the first generation to experience social media during our teenage years. Obviously we already had Facebook, but Instagram now. I'm going to focus a lot on Instagram. At first, when Instagram came out, this was like, what, 2011? 2011? I was probably like, what, 12? It was mainly just people that you followed, like, your friends, your family, people from school. You would post, but I was posting like just a cup of coffee, your dinner, your tea. People would be posting just random things like, oh, leaves on the floor, autumn is here, like very ordinary things. It was just sharing your life with your people. Then I don't know if it was like 2012, 2013 when things shifted. You had the rise of Flat Tummy Tea, Instagram body, had Miracle Watts, Bernice Burgos. Things started to change, yeah. It went from just a random selfie to perfectly curated feeds of people on holiday. A famous phrase goes, I don't know whether that came from because of Instagram or it was already a thing before, but the call, don't compare your life to someone's highlight reel. Instagram made that phrase go like platinum. It was the prime time as a young person to be comparing yourself to other people. As someone who grew up in the Tumblr era, loved Tumblr down, but I remember the Fire Gap era. That wasn't healthy. All of the social media apps that we have are time wasters, and we would, and still to this day, a lot of us will spend hours scrolling on Instagram, comparing ourselves to other people, whether looks, their lives, like, oh, this person did this person did that, they're doing this, oh my god, what am I doing in my life, blah blah blah. And I've had those moments before in the past, although I feel like now I'm a lot more self-assured, but I understand not everyone is there, and especially when you're young, you stand no chance, love. Unless you have someone constantly telling you don't compare. I feel like you stand no chance. And I'm a little worried for what the young girlies are experiencing now. In fact, more for everyone, even the men, the young boys are being radicalized. It's just a mess. I feel like social media is a big aspect as to why my generation specifically, we're struggling socially. A lot of people can't go out and form social bonds because you're just going to be at home on TikTok all day. I love TikTok down. That is the most addictive app on this planet. Ever since the algorithm caught my ass, I was done, mate. I was done for. We need to fight against it. A lot of us are getting involved and deeply ingrained in all of these social platforms regularly, daily, hours. Look at our screen time. It will tell us that we were on Twitter, and I will not call it by its colonized name, X or whatever. It's Twitter to me, okay? We find out that we just wasted our time. And we're not going out, we're not prioritizing people. We can after work just be like, I'm tired, let me just scroll or watch Netflix and just be in the house and chill. Even back in the day when you wanted to do something like watch a movie, I'm not saying of course like in the 90s 80s you could just get like a VHS tape. Even before that, you'd have to go to the pictures, you actually have to go out. People's pastimes were not even that bad in my opinion, like what, reading a newspaper, playing games. It's not crazy compared to what we have now, where we have unlimited choices of distractions. And I think once again, we're putting our time in these things instead of actually, hey, let me go, call my friend, or hey, let's hang out. Hey, what you doing? Let's go out. We don't have the ability to be bored and seek each other anymore. And this is not necessarily an economic factor, but it is a big factor in my opinion as to why we are where we are now. I also think another aspect is a lot of us are watching our friends, our communities' lives through stories. Snapchat was the first, I think, to bring out the concept of stories. I've not used that app in years now. Honestly, sorry to that app. It was good. We can keep up with people. What we're doing now is we're substituting that for actually checking in with people on a genuine level, because we all know, we all do it. We all put our highlights. We all act like life is great. Does not mean that we're not behind the scenes falling apart, or behind the scenes we need some support or whatever. We actually need to put effort into engaging with that person as a person, not just, oh, I saw their story, they're fine. Yeah. Now that they're doing this, they're fine. Really? How do you know? When's the last time you spoke? Like 3 months ago, but I've seen her story, she's fine. Guys, wake up. Especially now we've got AI on the block. Like, I don't even want to know how that's going to affect us. I'm not looking forward to that at all. We see people at one motive, like, I had to go there. FOMO is killing people. You see one motive on TikTok, everyone goes there. Flocks, because TikTok recommended it. Now everyone's just looking around, waiting for the vibe to happen, not realizing that you have to create the vibe. Vibes are created by people. They're not created by algorithms. They're not created by TikTok. They're not created by stories. You need to create it. You need to be engaged with your community, with other people, to create any sort of vibe that you want to seek. Complete side topic. When I was young, like before the age of 13, but I was the biggest bookworm. I used to go to the library. I used to go and check out those fairy books. I'm gonna put them here somewhere. Those fairy books had me in a chokehold. I would read like one a day, bro, and go back to the library, get another one. Now I'm gonna try and get back into fiction books, because I think I've been reading a lot of non-fiction, hence why my attention span has not been great. But I don't think that's necessarily the only reason. I think in general the phones have fried us. They've fried us bad. But I am gonna try and get back into reading again. Like I used to love to read. Trying to fight sleep, I'll be keeping my eyes open, like trying to fight sleep just so that I can finish off the next page. And I miss that. I'll be bringing that back for myself as an act of resilience against social media, but that has nothing to do with anything. I'm just chatting now. I have chatted everyone's ears off about the different factors I believe are affecting our social life. I do want to zero in on my opinion with some stats as well, backed up how we can fix a problem, and basically where do we go from here. Well, I do believe we need a housing reform. We need more social housing. I can't remember the stat. I'll try to put it somewhere if I can find it. But the larger percentage of renting is done through private landlords. We need social housing. People need affordable places to live. We need more houses because right now the demand is higher than the supply. And the government needs to build more houses. And we need to look at why that is. And that I will not be delving into, but you can do some research by yourself because you have a brain, and I will also be doing the same. I honestly think we need a rent cap, personally. Like, let's put a cap to how much you can increase rent like crazy. I do like Labour's new renters' rights bill. I think this is a step in the right direction. I will read off some of the things included in this bill. I think it's come into effect now. They will abolish Section 21 evictions, which basically means you don't have to be living in fear, shaking your boots that you can get evicted at any time. There's more structure to when an eviction can be done, and your tenancies are more sturdy, and there's more safety in, security, which is fantastic in my opinion. You're allowed to request a pet, yes. Ensure possession grounds are fair to both parties. So there's more safeguarding for tenants. They have more time to find a new house if the landlord decided to evict, to move or sell. And there's also apply AWAB's law to the sector, which sets clear legal expectations about the timeframes within which landlords in the private rented sector must take action to make homes safe where they contain serious hazard. Beautiful. There's a lot of other things I will not be listing, but I believe this is a good step in making people who are renting have a less nightmarish experience with the whole thing. I still do think we need a housing reform. We need more houses. We definitely need more social housing so other people can afford to live, especially if it's like the big city. Everyone here can't be a big banker. Who's going to clean the places that the big bankers are going? Do they not deserve to live a good, decent life as well? Right. Do they also not deserve to live comfortably, or is that only reserved for people making big bucks? For careers, I honestly think abolish 25k starting salaries. We can't keep doing that. How is the starting salary not changed in 10 years? Knowing damn well inflation for everything else has gone through the roof. That doesn't make a lick of sense. I think corporations are taking the piss out of us. Increase the wages in line with inflation each year. I definitely strongly believe in that. We should continue work from home for people. I think it's been a big benefit for a lot of people in terms of having a better work to life balance in a nutshell. And people's productivity is still the same. So why not work from home if it's possible for the nature of your job? A slightly more radical take. I don't think it's even radical. Me personally, why are we doing 5 days a week? In my kingdom, we'd all be working like 0. But if we had to compromise, 1 day a week, and we'll have 6-day weekends. Why not? I do want to draw your attention to a pilot study that was done on introducing the 4-day working week. Is there a word stronger than overdue? I don't know. Whatever word that is the word I'd use in this scenario. This pilot study was done between June to December 2022, I believe, and there were 61 companies and 2,900 workers involved in this pilot study. Now, I remember when this pilot study was announced, I was waiting for the results for the longest time. I never heard them, so I had to even go and search them up like a few years ago. But I will read them out to you as to what they found. So they've said that the trial was a resounding success. Resounding, quoted. Of the 61 companies that participated, 56 are continuing with the 4-day work week, which is 92% of them, and 18 have confirmed the policy is a permanent change. Some of the benefits before and after showed that 39% of employees were less stressed, 71% had reduced levels of burnout at the end of the trial, there was less anxiety, fatigue, sleep issues decreased, mental health and physical health improved. No way. No. What? 60% of employees found an increased ability to combine paid work with care responsibilities. 62% reported it was easy to combine work with social life. And also, business metrics showed signs of positive effects. Companies' revenue stayed broadly the same over the trial, even rising by 1.4% on average. When compared to a similar period from previous years, reported revenue increases of 35% on average, which indicates healthy growth. The number of staff leaving participating companies decreased significantly, dropping by 57% over the trial period. For many, the positive effects of the 4-day work week were worth more than their weight in money. 15% said that no amount of money would induce them to accept a 5-day schedule over a 4-day schedule that they've now become accustomed to. I don't need to say anything else. I think the results speak for themselves. I think a lot of us who work 5 days, some people even more, would I don't think we even need to. Of course, those were the results. Well, I'm going to be waiting for companies to catch up on a nationwide scale. Sorry, I forgot to mention the cost of childcare. Unless you're like utilizing universal credit or your tax-free childcare allowance, childcare is expensive. Like, unless you have your grandparents, people who can take care of your children, you have to pay for childcare, and it's expensive, guys. I saw the stats. Let me even read them out for you. According to the Quorum Family Childcare Annual Childcare Survey, that doesn't sound right. The average full-time nursery place in England in 2025 cost £238.95 per week. So that's basically 1k a month, essentially. If you're a single parent, I don't know how you do it. But for a lot of people, 1k a month is a big hit to their pocket. So once again, 4-day work week would be incredible for a lot of people's wallets. I think regarding our third places, I think it's very important for us to be engaged with our local community, see what's on. I do think on a government level, though, we need to also advocate for building more third spaces. Even when we're doing all this urban planning for new places, people are building new houses, there should be thought that goes into how can we make this a great space for a community, for kids, for young people, old people. All of these things are very key as well. I think having walkable places people can go to, open spaces, parks, libraries, keep those things open. We need the leisure centers open. We need the youth centers open. We need these places open for people. Not everyone can afford to pay £100 a month for a fancy health club. Yeah. So therefore, we need these free places available for people in a community for sure. So when I was walking through Westfield in Stratford, well, that area essentially, I've always seen it, but I never thought about it until I was doing this video, and I was like, that's like a third space, and there's like a place where people can play like table tennis, and it's free, and there's some other games like when I say games, not like console games, as in like big chess pieces, and people can just play with strangers. I think that was beautiful design, and I think that's a very good place for people to meet random people who like the same stuff as them. And you're probably going to be like, oh, you up for table tennis next week again? Yeah, why not? This is how we make friends, people. We speak to people, we do things that are local to us, free. I think that's the key, guys. I genuinely think that's the key. Although I do find it sad that low-key, this whole space was only ever built because of the Olympics in 2012, and that was also a form of gentrification. It makes me think the government does have money for these things when they want to, but they won't just do it just cause they just need the place to look fancy for the Olympics. And it's great what's come out of it. They have the Olympic Park, the other swimming centers. I don't know. I've not really looked too tough, but I've seen them, and I'm like, if the Olympics were happening, would you guys have done this? Anyways, mental health wise, I definitely think we all collectively need to continue being advocates for better access to mental health services and also providing subsidized service for people as well privately who may not be able to get onto an NHS, especially where NHS is going at the moment. Once again, another topic for another day. Social media, honestly, let's touch grass. Like social media wise, I think that's the best way I can say. Let's touch grass, but also please, if you're older, I think engage with the younger people, like teenagers. A lot of the young boys are getting radicalized with all these weirdos like Andrew Tate, blah blah blah. The girls is always feminine content, is oh do this, do that, just like this. Oh, it's a this summer, it's a that summer, and it's like we're lacking individuality. People are comparing themselves. People are not going out in the real world, exploring different things, meeting new people, different experiences, and actually having that real life grit that you need to be a full-rounded person who's happy and healthy and can connect with other people, hold a conversation with people. I think a lot of people can't hold conversations because they don't have practice. Social skills are lacking, and I'm starting to notice that being able to hold a conversation. Hey, how are you? I'm good, thank you. Well, no social connection. Hey, how are you? I'm good, thank you. How are you? How was your day? What are you getting up to? Oh yeah, I'm doing X, Y, Z. If you can't even ask questions, how do we expect to have a thriving community is beyond me. These are just a few things I think we can look at to approach the situation. There are a lot of things to fix. I have just approached it from a very superficial, light level. I'm very interested to see if there's any other suggestions in the comments. I also want to hear from other people. What other factors, economically, non-economically, do you think are really affecting our ability to have a thriving social life, especially in my generation? And I also want to make another point to say that old people are also suffering. They are also lonely. But I am just focusing more on my generation. And yeah, I think that's it for today. I've really enjoyed doing my research for this video. I think I've learned a lot about me and how communities are formed. I think we're going in the wrong direction, at least in this country. I don't think it's completely like we can't get it back to where we need to be. And I do think people have those pockets of community, but I think we are losing that community spirit that we need to be healthy, well-rounded individuals. I may at one point make an updated video on this. This is a very simple video on the whole conversation at large. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I hope it makes you think. Once again, I love hearing other people's thoughts. I love to have a conversation. As long as you're respectful, please leave a comment about anything that is on your mind regarding this topic. Thank you so much if you've made it to the end. I really appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you next time.